Hi guys, welcome back to Claire's Clues. On today's video, I want to talk to you about the book Secrets to a Millionaire Mind by Harv Eker. Now, what we know about money is generally taught to us as kids, either by our parents or by close influential friends. But they can only teach us what they know. And if all they know is how to be poor, then that's all they can pass on to us. But on the other hand, if they do know how to handle and make money in a more positive and beneficial manner, we would hope that they would teach us that instead. Hopefully. Fingers crossed on that one. You see, rich people have the belief that I make or I create my life. While as a poor person generally has the opinion of life just happens to me. So with that in mind, ask yourself this. Who do you think is more likely to play the lottery? A rich person or a poor person? See, if you think the poor person, you'd be right. See, it's the poor man's habit to believe the only way they could possibly make money or become rich would be if someone drew their name out of a hat by sheer luck of the draw. You see, instead of taking responsibility, there are three other things that the poor man likes to do. Number one is blaming. They love to play the blame game. Now, you might know someone that does this, or you might have known someone that's done this. Now, the blame game has no objective. The blame game has one objective. And that is to see how many people or things they can point the finger at before they have to point it at themselves. Alright, so that's blaming. The second thing that they do is justifying. Now, if there's nothing or no one to blame, you'll often hear the poor person rationalising their debt or their problem. They're more than likely to tell you that whatever the problem is, it isn't that important anyway. But if they have that kind of attitude about money or certain situations, they'll probably come to find that nothing stays in their life. And this also includes people. So that's number two, justifying. Now the third and last thing that they do is they complain. Now, what you focus on expands. This is just a rule of thumb. So the more negatives you find with things, the more often things will be negative for you. And the more you complain, the more you'll find things to complain about. So you're living in this just terribly negative world and nothing's getting better because all you can seem to do is find the negatives in things. And you just want to complain about them. You just want to share them all with everyone. And honestly, not many people want to hear all the complaints you have to say. So like I said, back in the justifying part, they will tend to lose people throughout their life because of the things that they do. So yes, like I said, complaining constantly. They just don't want to hear justifying reason with logic as to why things are the way they are. They just want to say, look, it's this fault that this happened, or it's that person's fault that I did this, and I'm going to justify it like this, and then I'm going to complain about it. These are the three things that they tend to do, sometimes in that order, sometimes not. But instead of that, they should have the attitude of a rich person and take responsibility. Own your financial situation. And what you'll find is the next time you find yourself complaining, blaming, or justifying, make sure to stop yourself and correct yourself before what you're doing becomes before what you're doing and saying becomes an unconscious habit. Something you do on autopilot. Because the last thing you want to do is be doing things that affect the people around you negatively, including yourself. Now, moving on, it also says that always remember that just because your parents have one way of thinking and doing things doesn't mean that you have to replicate and imitate their mistakes or their misunderstandings. So it all starts with your mindset. It all starts with the way you view things, the way you want to, move forward in life. Think of the way, think your way out of negative situations and think your way into riches and royalties. Alright guys, I'll do a quick recap of all of this. There's not much to it, it's pretty simple, but I'll start at the top, and this is what we know about money is generally taught to us as we're kids. And this is generally by our parents or by close family friends. Influential, by the way. They have to have some degree of influence on you. But they can only teach you what they know. So if they know how to be poor, or they came from a poor family and they haven't really learnt how to handle money very well, you'll find that they can only teach you how to do what they've done or how their parents taught them what to do, which is to be poor. But on the flip side of that, on the other side of the coin, you might find people that, that do know how to make and handle money in a positive and more beneficial manner. And they'll probably teach you that instead. Well, you would hope that they would teach you that. And if not, try to find ways to learn it. Pick up a book, ask questions. Even if you have to go to the bank and start asking, how do I do this? How do I set this up? I want to achieve this goal. How do I get there? And talk to someone, because you'll find that by talking, you'll find answers that you might not have known you had questions for. And moving on, it says, rich people have the belief that I create my life, while as poor people believe that life just happens to me. And that you can sort of pick them out. These are the kinds of people that walk around and they have a problem with almost about everything that goes on. Whether it be social, whether it be political, whether it be personal, there's always something that's just not right for them. So life is happening to them. But they could be on the other side of that mindset where it's, I create life. I create the life that I want and I live that. But at the moment, they're stuck in their mindset and in their way of doing things, which is life is just happening and they're there for it. So ask yourself this. Who do you think is more likely to play the lottery? Would you say it's a rich person or would you say it's a poor person? So if you pick the poor person, you'd definitely hit the nail on the head with that one. You'd be right. Because it's a poor man's habit and mentality to believe that the only way they could possibly make money and become rich would be if someone was to draw their name out of a hat by sheer chance or by luck or by some miracle that happened for them, because they could never have had that happen. They could never have done that because they didn't want to put in the time and effort. And that's the difference between poor people and rich people. Poor people want things to come to them but don't want to put in the time and effort, whilst rich people know that they have something they want to achieve and they're going to get there one way or another. They put in the effort and the time that it takes and is required to get them to where they want to go, to their end goal. And from the end goal, they work backwards. They just have a look at what it is they want to achieve and then take the steps back to the very beginning and find out where it is they need to start. But in saying that, you'll also find that instead of taking responsibility, there's 3 other things that poor people tend to have the mindset of or tend to do. And these 3 things is, number 1 is blaming. So they like to play the blame game. And there's one objective, and that is to point the finger at as many things or as many people as possible before they have to look at themselves and say, no, it must be me. Before someone holds up a mirror and says, it's not what's going on around you, it's not someone else, it's you. Now that's the blame game for them. Now the second one is justifying. Now it says there's nothing or no one to blame. You'll often hear the person trying to rationalize their debt or their problem, whatever it might be for them. And they'll probably more than likely tell you that whatever the problem is, it wasn't important in the first place. It really didn't matter. Whatever's happened has happened. They'll deal with it another day. It's not going anywhere. You'll hear things like, that problem will be there tomorrow. I'll deal with it then. But the truth is that it'll probably be there for the next few years. Or maybe the rest of their life, because they don't want to deal with it. They're not ready to deal with the fact that they might have had a hand in creating that problem. And moving on, it says, but if they have that kind of attitude about money or certain situations, you'll find that they'll probably come to find that nothing stays in their life. And like I said, this includes people, because people won't want to stick around for negativity or, just pessimistic attitude. And the third one here, the last thing that they do is complain. So they love to just tell you all the things that are wrong, all the things that, haven't gone right for them in life. So what you focus on expands. And for poor people, it generally is the fact that they're not making enough money, or, they had to work, so many hours and they're still not getting paid enough, or, they're in the wrong job with the wrong people. So the more negatives that they find with things, you'll find that the more often things will be negative for them. And the more they complain, the more things that they'll find to complain about. So, it's sort of a flow-on effect. If you start saying negative things, you'll find you'll look for negative things, and then you'll find those negative things. And because they're in the mood of complaining and the role of it, they'll keep going on about all the things that didn't go right. Instead of saying, hey, look, I'm putting my hand up, I did something wrong here, I need to go back and look at what it was because I need to fix it, so I stop doing this. So moving on, it says instead of having that attitude, have the attitude of a rich person and take responsibility. Own your financial situation, whatever that may be. And it says the next time you find yourself complaining, blaming or justifying, make sure to stop and correct yourself before what you're doing and saying becomes a habitual habit. Just habitual. So an unconscious habit is what I was going to say. So basically you're on autopilot and it just happens regardless because you're not thinking, because you're so used to what it is that you're doing. So make sure that if you do notice yourself doing it next time, pull yourself up, stop, and just try to recorrect the little things that are going on. And always remember that just because your parents have one way of thinking and doing things doesn't mean that you have to replicate or imitate their mistakes or misunderstandings of things. So it all starts with your mindset, guys, and the way out is to think your way out of it. Think your way to royals and riches. Alright guys, that's all from me. Now, we'll be making a lot more of these videos for this training series to help you with your personal development goals. But until next time, leave a comment below on what you like the most, and I look forward to seeing you next time in Claire's Clues. Bye guys.